Everybody, we're up here at Stokes' place picking up my 2022 Speed Twin. It basically, oh yeah, key fob. And I'm glad I decided to keep this bike for now. This thing is really just crazy fun. And it's got so much good stuff. Exhaust, X-pipe, Ohlins, K-Tech, Ohlins, heated grips, windscreen, seat, full tune, 10 horsepower more than stock, levers. Ah, this thing's a good bike. Let's see, are we recording? Let's make sure I see a lights flashing. So I'm going to ride this home, do a little ride review. Man, look at this spread, dude. What an awesome piece of property up here. Brakes feel good. Yeah. The motor sounds luscious. Not gonna lie, that Mustang looks good. Look at that ass. Definitely looks better with those wheel spacers and the wider tires. Looks proper now. Alright, she gonna follow me. A little chilly. It's in the 50s. It's gonna warm up. Be up closer to 70. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ride this bish home. We're not gonna hammer it quite yet, as it does have a whole new top end of the motor. Now Brian has heat cycled it and played with it a bit. And he's wheelied it a few times. He had some fun with it. So we'll have to see how the microphone works on this. That's the other reason why I'm doing a little bit of vlogging here. Is I want to see how... when I was riding the other bike, playing with the external mic and the wireless and all that stuff, and getting the gain control set, so that there's no clipping and distortion. We're at negative 12 dB on the mic transmitter and the mic receiver, and then on the camera itself, where that plugs in, I'm knocking it down another 8 dB or 10 dB. I'll have to see when I get home. Thing is, this exhaust is way louder, and it's the sound of the exhaust and the wind noise that was causing the clipping. So we'll have to see when I get home if this is usable. If not, I'll just need to turn it down a little bit more, and I might have one setting for one bike. Or I could always go back to the stock mufflers on this if it is too loud and prevents me from doing what I want. But man, I'll tell you, Triumph definitely took care of me on this. You know, I got to use one of their top techs in the country. And the guy who works for Triumph Corporate, and he supports the dealers when they get in over their heads and they need the fixer. You know, he's kind of like Harvey Keitel's character from Pulp Fiction. You remember the wolf? Need the fixer? That's what he does. Turn my heated grips on high. So when they get a problem at the dealers, it's beyond their ability, or when you start talking about motor teardowns and rebuilds, there's a couple techs in the Atlanta area. There's one or two that can do that work, but Brian's the guy. So I went and had breakfast with him. He's such a cool guy. He knows everybody in racing. He raced with Josh Herron and Ben Spies and all those guys. He's texting the other night with Ben Spies, and he's friends with all those guys still. And it's it's really cool that, you know, he knows everything about motorcycles. He knows everything about Triumphs. He knows the racing world and all that stuff. So he's got a lot of good stories. Ooh, I was about to wheelie in second, and I'm really glad that I did not. I look up and I'm like, oh, cop. Oops. Yeah, so we'll play with this a little bit, but just instant torque. But I want to put 100 miles on it. He said, don't worry about it. He said, just ride the damn thing. He's like, you know, the bottom end's already broken in. He's like, you got all new valves, entire valve chain, springs, valves, everything. New head, new cylinders, new pistons, new spark plugs, and he did the valve clearances. So it's at least as good as it would be coming out of the factory. I mean, Brian, he took his time with this to make sure it was right. Wasn't on an assembly line working, you know, against the clock. Not that Triumph has poor quality control or anything like that, but it's nice. It's more like, okay, mine's more been like hand-built instead of assembly line factory. Someone took their time, went over everything, double-checked everything, and then went around and wrote it on multiple days to make sure it's performing and doing exactly what it should be doing before he wanted to give it back to me. So I'm glad I decided to keep this because it is just a really fun bike. Sounds glorious, looks glorious. I might even say it smells glorious. So I won't subject it to the entire ride home. I'm gonna get home and Jimmy's gonna take this out, and then we're gonna go out and play a bit. I'm gonna take and get some extra break-in miles on the new 2023 MT-010 or MT-10, whatever the hell it is. Basically an upright R1. And I go put some miles on it. I've ordered tail tidy. I've ordered with new blinkers, so it'll look nice and tight. Ordered some block-off plugs for some things that I removed. A different bar end for the mirror to look a little nicer. And then we're going to go and grab, what else did I order? Frame sliders. I ordered a bunch of stuff for it. So I'm going to start doing the mods on that. And once I'm done with that, there'll be case covers coming. Same ones I had on the R1. We get the GB Racing. Put those on. And then really, I think it's just going to be... I got to decide. I'm going to get the ECU flash. The question is, do I want to keep the stock exhaust and keep it a little on the stealthy side, or do I go get the Leo Vinci connector pipe? And I'm going with the Leo Vinci rather than the eBay one this time because it has a resonator piece in it. So it'll be loud. Make no mistake. It's not going to be a quiet bike, but it will take a little bit of that raspiness out that the R1 had. The R1 sounded good, but it was almost too loud. I know some of you are clutching your pearls and saying, there's no such thing, Dave. Yeah, there is. When it interferes with the vlogging, when it interferes with the audio because it's so loud that the microphone starts clipping and screwing up your audio, then it's too loud. This is borderline. And I don't know, we'll see what this sounds like on video later. Hopefully it's not distorted. Alright, slow down so Donna can get behind me. Try not to hit a curb this time. She gets so mad when I bring that up. She had to move the car out of the garage because we're having, it was carpet cleaners, or maybe it was the guys coming to, had a bathroom remodel and stuff like that. And it's like, I gotta move your car out into the street so a guy can get his van in there. I'm like, don't hit the curb. Oh no, don't tell me what to do. I know how to drive. 3 minutes later, I look out the window and she's looking at the front tire and hitting it with her foot and shaking her head. She comes in the house and she just hands me her credit card. She's like, I owe you a new rim. I ground it down the curb. And I'm like, I know you said just buy the damn rim. Just shut up. $1,200 lesson for one damn rim. Ugh. So her solution was, fine, I'll just never drive your car again. I'm like, there is another option. It's not like drive your car and smash into something, or don't drive your car. I'm like, you could just watch where you're going. That's a funny conversation. She's like, well, I can't see the wheel from the driver's seat. I'm like, who can? I'm not Stretch Armstrong or the Elastic Man or whatever from the Fantastic Four. Like, I can't see where the wheel is. I just have an idea where it is, and you always err on the side of caution. Oh, that was funny. But we got it replaced. So I was like, you get to drive it. Maybe we'll hit some twisty roads heading back. Let's see. Informazione. Trip 2. 51 mpg currently. Sweet. And the clock is wrong. Damn it. Yeah, when we pulled the motor out, obviously the battery got disconnected, so I was like, what time is it? Maybe we'll pass a bank and I'll see it. Oh man, these grips are way too warm. Hold on. Let's go to low. Yeah, this is a fun bike. I gotta remember where the shit am I going. I think we're gonna bear to the right. I think. I might have to get off the camera and navigate home, because I don't actually know where I am. I didn't hit nav. Yeah, it idles good. Throttle response is instant. It's a good bike. Get home does need a little cleaning. There's a baby on that porch, and I thought I saw a little pitty walking by. Oh, no, not a pitty. Little person. Hello, small person. He's like, what's that? Like, that's a badass mother effer is what that is. Yeah, I really don't know where we're going. So, you know what? I'm going to have to hang up here. Well, I guess I can do both. My phone's in my pocket. Yeah, I think we should have gone that way. Damn it. It's going to connect to my phone. Huh. My wife's like, he's lost, isn't he? Well, let's try. Navigate to Flowery Branch, Georgia. Alright, so the one time I go to use the goddamn navigation, Samsung updated the terms of your something, so please look at your screen and acknowledge. You know what? Fuck you, Samsung. I bet you Apple for this shit, so I'm going to give Google and Samsung shit too. It's like, I want to use voice commands. And if the voice commands only work if I have to stop what I'm doing, pull over, get my phone out of my pocket, unlock it, which means taking off my gloves, so the fingerprint reader will work. Ah, you assholes. Enough with the terms and conditions and this and that. I guess I was in second. Let me see if I can call my wife. Anyway, I'm turning the camera off. We'll talk to you guys later. We'll be back with some more content. Yeah, shame on you, Samsung. That's so annoying. You know what it reminds me of? So I had to signal for my wife to call me because I can't use any voice commands because Samsung's shitty Bixby's personal assistant, which I thought I had disabled and I never used because Google's is the best one out there. Well, apparently there was an update on the phone which turns it back on, and there's these terms and conditions, and it's like, I'm using hands-free because I need to use hands-free. And telling me, well, there's a new privacy policy. I don't give a fuck. I can't use the phone in this situation because of some stupid thing that I don't care about, that I don't even want. And I don't understand why they have to do that shit. It's like, it reminds me of the old days. Like every time you want to watch a video, and it's like, oh, it's been 2 days. We need to upload or download a update to Real Player 7, and you're like, Jesus Christ, how long is that going to take over a dial-up modem? Meanwhile, you're sitting there, you know, like, I just want to watch this porn video or whatever. It's like, I'm going to lose my rod by the time this stupid thing updates every other friggin' day. And I feel like that sometimes with phones. They're such a blessing in some ways by facilitating things, and then a curse. It's like you got 73 apps on your phone and they're all updating every 3 days, and you go to use it, and well, there's a new disclaimer, and it's like, why even put that shit in there? Am I really going to sit there and go through 19 pages of legal speak? All I care about is I just assume if you're using a smartphone or a computer and you're putting your information in there, I just assume somebody is getting their hands on it. As long as it's not criminals getting my, you know, social security number and stuff, and, you know, for identity fraud. If you, oh, what about the cookies? The cookies! I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about cookies. I don't give a crap about this stuff. Whatever. My phone listens to me. I could talk about lawnmowers and something, and then 2 hours later, Facebook's like, hey, would you like to buy a lawnmower? And they start pushing ads, and it's like, yeah, your phone's listening to you. Whatever. I don't care. All I care about is it does what I want when I want it to do it. And that apparently in this day and age is too much. So every time I ask my phone to do something, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Now with Apple, anytime I would tell it navigate home, it would just refuse. You have to unlock your phone for that. Well, what if you're a 13-year-old girl and someone steals your phone and all they have to do is say navigate home, and now they know where you live? We must protect the children. Shut up. You don't. Your stupid voice thing is supposed to be matched to my voice. And if not, then your voice, then it's not all that secure, is it? Anyway, I digress. AKA bitch when my shit doesn't work like I'm supposed to. You pay $1,100 for a goddamn phone, and it's like it just doesn't do what you want it to do and what it's supposed to do. And for no real reason. Deep breaths. So we're back on the Speed Twin. And I'm loving it, you know? It feels good. It's got that sound and that character. And I was talking to Brian about something, and I used to ask people this question, and I wouldn't do this on a stock bike, but I think on this I can get away with it. And Brian agrees. So I would see people like, hey, I want to gear my bike taller so it gets better gas mileage. It's like, dude, who goes out and buys a sport bike and then worries about 4 mpg? Just stop. It's almost always some European person. No offense to you Europeans, but you guys clearly have different goals than we do. Anyway, so I'm like, why would you do that? You lose acceleration, and it makes it a little less buzzy on the interstate. Okay. But I'm like, I'm not giving up the acceleration to get that. Well, here's what Brian was mentioning. He's like, you have 10 horsepower easily at the wheel more than a stock bike. You have more power, more torque, and better throttle response. It is a bit buzzy. I mean, I'm going, let's see, 75 miles an hour is 4,000 on the tack. And with the loud exhaust, it is a bit noisy. But here's the other thing. Because I've got the extra power to overcome the slightly taller gearing, like if I just went up a tooth in the front, it would move the front wheel or the back wheel forward. It shortened the wheelbase up a tiny bit, which might help with turn in and make it a little more flickable. Okay. But there is a balancing act between, you know, when you gear down, you get better acceleration, but then you run out of gear sooner, so you're having to shift more often. So is that extra acceleration negated by the fact that you are having to change gears much more frequently? And so you have to sit there and, you know, kind of wonder about that. So that's where I'm thinking, you know what, maybe gearing it up just a little bit would make it a little quieter for vlogging, because I could run If I was on, I guess around town it doesn't matter because I can always just run higher gear. But on the interstate, it's definitely, you know, at 80, 85, you're up running close to 5,000 RPMs. It is a little buzzy, not gonna lie. But maybe I should gear it up just a little bit. And then with the extra power and the fact that it makes power now all the way to redline, stock redline, 8,000 RPMs, because it is pulling harder to that point, I do feel like I'll be able to hold a gear a little bit longer and not have to downshift as much. There's turns up in the mountains where I'm like, maybe third is just a little too tall, so I dropped a second, but then as soon as I start accelerating out of the turn, I run out of gear and I got to go back to third. It's like, well, maybe if second gear, you know, my gears were just a little bit longer, and because I got the extra horsepower, it's still going to be faster than a stock bike of these. So I'm thinking that's what I might do. You know, because a front sprocket's cheap. You can pick up a sprocket for 30 bucks. Sunstar, JT Sprockets, Vortex, any of those. You probably find them on Amazon or Sprocket Center. So I may go ahead and do that. I will say this bike does need a little bit of a wash. And we'll play with that. That'll be a potential mod. And then we'll do a ride review and see how it feels. I think on a stock bike I wouldn't like it. But with as much torque, and it'll make this thing a little less, well, I don't know, it would make it less wheelie prone, but with the shorter wheelbase, it might still be almost as wheelie prone. If I gear it up 5 or 6%, but shorten the wheelbase half an inch, well, maybe quarter inch, probably with a front sprocket wouldn't be that much. We'll see. It's cheap to find out, I guess, so I might as well try that. See what happens. Yeah. I'm glad to be back on this thing. It is a really cool bike. This is going to be my more in-town and goofing around bike. When I go to bike night, go to dinner, I'm not going on longer drives, because honestly the seat on this is not as comfortable as the ZX14, and that was the stock seat and this aftermarket seat. It's not that comfortable. It's okay, but your butt does start to go numb after a while. Badcock. Huh. Weird name. Alright, if I remember correctly, we're going to get to the end of this road, make a left, go down and make a right. I don't remember if we have to get back on the interstate or not. So yeah, I do love the way it handles, love the way it sounds. The brakes are awesome. It's got a really good brake setup. I think those are M50s. That might be M432s. I don't know. They're Brembo monoblocks with a Brembo RCS, or yeah, RMS, whatever it is. It's a radial master cylinder. And braided steel lines. It's a good one. It's a good setup. I like it a lot. Alright, let's get out the way. Come on. One thing I'm noticing today is just how much of our roads here in Georgia are just absolute shit. Terrible. Just potholes and busted up pavement everywhere. At least the mountains are good where we go ride. But anything around in town, it's like you need a frickin' Ford Raptor. Williamson Brother Barbecue is one of the best barbecue places around, man. That place is awesome. I heard a beeping. Is it still going? Yeah. I don't know what that beep was. Anyway. Let's see. So we're going to make a right. I think they'll take us right into Canton and straight over through Cumming, Georgia. Just got to follow the road signs. 20. Stay on 20. Take us all the way back home. And then we're going to meet up. We're going to swap out. Jimmy is bikeless at the moment, so I'm going to let him take this. Nick will have his bike, and Jonathan's coming over on his new Street Triple RS. Alright, let's see. What do we want? We want Roswell coming. We're going to go north a little bit and then continue eastward. Donna hasn't run into anything with the Mustang yet, so that's good. Good on you, girl. Good on you. Appreciate it. Alright, that's 140. We go this way. Yeah, the other problem with having 3 bikes, I know you're like first world problems, dude. You got 3 brand new bikes in the garage. But honestly, like, trying to figure out, I know I sound like an ass, but trying to figure out what bike I want to ride. I sound like a complete douchebag when I say that, I get it, but like, this bike is really fun. Like, I want to, haven't had it in a month and a half. I want to go back and ride it. But I'm like, I got a brand new MT10. So I gotta go ride the MT10 later today. Jimmy's gonna ride this. Tomorrow we're supposed to do a mountain run. And I think like TJ and Cameron and Dean are all gonna be on mini bikes. So I guess it doesn't matter what bike I bring. I'm gonna be, you know, I'll be the oddball in the group there. Although I think Jonathan's coming too, so. Anyway, back to this bike and some blogging about it. You know, I really did think hard about it. I felt bad. I felt a little guilty after Brian put all this time and work into it. And again, my rational brain knows he was going to do the work anyway. The dealer wasn't going to tackle that job. It's under warranty. The motor needed to be rebuilt. But after he took all that time and came and picked it up at the house and wanted to give me my bike back, I felt like a dick for saying, yeah, I'm going to sell it. And so we sat there and talked about it a bit. Not like he guilted me into it, but I did feel a little guilty. But then I just really started thinking about, you know, what's important in riding and stuff like that. And I love the ZX14. And who knows, you know what? Maybe this quarter things pick up and I get a couple nice commission checks and I just go dunk and just pay 1 or 2 of the bikes off, right? And it doesn't matter, because then I can justify having more bikes, because it's not really an expense at that point. In fact, at that point, it's an asset, because you know, it's got some innate value. If I decided, oh, you know, I want to do this or do that or whatever, I could just go trade it in or sell it, you know, get my money back, kind of thing. So I'm thinking I'm going to start down that path and just see how things go. If things pick up at work a little bit, and if they do, just pay 1 or 2 of the bikes off, and you know, just work on getting everything paid down. Other than a mortgage and vehicle payments, I don't have any debt. All my credit card, like all that stuff, all revolvings, all that stuff, I don't carry any balances on that stuff. So my operating expenses on every month are really just, you know, food, my half the mortgage, you know, my wife pays the other half, and then, you know, just my toys, my bike payments, my car, you know, that stuff. That's it. That's all I got. So, you know, some people say, oh, I don't finance toys or whatever. But you know what? When you get low interest rates because you got good credit and stuff like that, it's like, would I want to go and pull money out of savings or save up 10, 15, 20 grand to go buy a bike and not have the payment? Or would you rather have the money in the bank, you know, in case there's an emergency or something? And for me, I'd rather just kind of, I look at it as a monthly operating expense, you know. I want to ride a bike, pay this much a month, and you got a bike, and you don't have to lay out tens of thousands of dollars in cash. I know there's 2 schools of thought on that. But as long as you're getting low interest rates and stuff like that, where it's not costing you a whole lot to do it, and you just have a, you know, a couple $100 a month payment type thing, that's what I do. So if I got to float the 3 bikes for a while, it's not a problem. It's more of a question of, do I, am I going to ride them all enough to justify the cost, right? If I'm riding one a lot and the other one a good bit, and then the other one just sits there collecting dust, well, in that case, I need to just sell it and get rid of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see, what do I actually do? Because there's always like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, right? You have all these plans in your head. But, you know, the reality is, what do you actually use on a daily basis, and is that justified? One of these lanes used to be a turn only. I need to make sure in case I gotta jump over. I will say the one thing I don't like about this aftermarket seat is it doesn't lock in quite as well as the stocker. So every once in a while you feel it shift and click and move a little bit. I changed it. Hopefully my wife got through that. Yeah, she is. Now she needs to get over. Yeah, I knew at some point it was going to a turn only. She was going to get stuck over there. Sorry, babe. That's why I moved over. I was hoping you'd follow me. So, yeah. Let's go through the list of mods again. Let me try to recap. We still got to remember everything. Ohlins Shocks sprung for my weight, and I didn't go with the gold Ohlins. I didn't want the blingy one. Draw too much attention to it. I like this being a sleeper. We got K-Tech Racing forks, so that's springs, all the valving internals, fully adjustable, new caps, oil, everything, all rebuilt by GMD CompuTrack. Real pros down there. We got the steering damper up front. We got better brake pads. We got the levers. We've got British Customs X-Pipe, K&N or BMC, I think it's a BMC air filter, or maybe it's a K&N, one of those. We got the Cone Engineering Shorties, mufflers with DB killers out, full custom tune, completely unrestricted. We got a Pirhana Dart, or Dart Pirhana, I forget which is the brand and which is the model. LED headlight, I think I mentioned levers, better tires. And when we really sat and looked at the bike, you know, Brian, I can't stress enough how cool of a guy he is, but also just his experience racing with Matt Mladen and Ben Spies and all those guys, and riding World Superbikes. He told me once he crashed Noriyuki Haga's World Superbike and just completely bent it and totaled it. He knows bikes. He knows fast bikes. He's a real good guy and a lot of knowledge and stuff. And he just took this out and he was like, dude, that is an amazing bike. He's like, what you've done with that, try and put out a really good bike with that. That's a good all-around gentleman's sport bike where you want to be sort of comfortable, but you still want to go sort of sporty and have fun. But he's like, you haven't taken away any of the comfort. All the things that bike was supposed to be for, you haven't ruined the retro vibe and the cool. In fact, you've added to it. But he's like, from a performance level, it's next level. And all that extra power. You couldn't believe just how quickly the front end comes up in the first couple gears when you turn off the traction. He's like, the first 3 gears, it just went burp, burp, burp. And he's like, I wasn't even hard on it. We didn't go over 5,000 RPMs. And the torque just loft the front end. He's like, but the steering, the suspension, the handling, he's like, that's a really special bike. You didn't ruin it. So many people take their bikes and they do so many mods, and it's like, yeah, it might perform well, but you kind of ruined the essence of what it is. He's like, you've retained the essence. You look at that and it just screams retro, cool, cafe racer. And then when you get on it and ride it, it's got the street cred. It's got the actual performance to really back it up and do it justice, much more than it did from Triumph. Like, that's a proper performance bike. And I was just like, you know what? That's true. I can go grab a freaking Kawasaki ZX12 or 14, go get another ZX6R, even the Z900. That's cool and retro, but there is something cool about the Triumphs, just like Ducati and Aprilia. For all you out there that like Yamaha, you're saying it's better, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not. I'm just saying it's cooler. To me, the ZX14 is an amazing bike, and in most ways it's a better bike than this. It's going to be more reliable. It handles just as well. It's so unbelievably faster. It's a better bike on paper, but it's nowhere as cool as this. It's not as cool as an Indian. It's not as cool as a Royal Enfield or something like that, you know. It'll run circles around all of them. and it'll last longer than all of them if you take care of it. But, you know, it's still just a Kawasaki. My MT-10 is very cool, but it's just a Yamaha. It's quirky. The motor is what gives that thing the character. Cross-plane crank is, I think, the best motor out there. You have all this, the hot top-end hit and speed of an inline 4 and the reliability of a Yamaha inline 4, but it's got the grunt and the sound of a Ducati and the soul of a Ducati or an Aprilia V4. It's a very interesting thing that Yamaha's done with that bike. So for that reason alone, I'm going to really enjoy that thing. But as far as the head turner, most people aren't looking at the Kawasaki. I mean, they see it, they're like, wow, that looks fast. But they're not, it's not tugging at any kind of heartstrings or emotions, or there's no sense of passion to it. There's no sense of nostalgia, history, pedigree. There's nothing like that. And this is all about that. And so if you're willing to have a couple quirks and, you know, not have the fastest bike out there, but you just want something that's fast enough to have fun and it's playful and it, everywhere you go, people are stopping and looking at it. It's a neat thing to ride. It's a very fun thing to ride, but it's also a nice thing to own. And that right there is the biggest difference between this and like the Japanese bikes. The Japanese bikes are amazing to ride. And they may be cheaper to own, but I never felt cool. And I know you're saying, oh, there's just images. You got, yeah, there's some of that. But I never felt cool for owning a Gixxer or a CBR. They're great bikes. Nothing wrong with them. A lot of fun. Reliable, fast, cheaper to fix, get parts for, a lot more accessories, because they sell a lot more accessories. You can get them cheaper. Look at Donna's Monster. A freaking slip-on exhaust system was over $3,000. It's insane. For a Honda, that'd be $700, you know? But it's like, I know which bike I like seeing in my garage every morning. Come out and look at the ZX14. It's a lot of fun, but it doesn't carry with it the same pride of ownership. You don't feel like you own anything special, because in a way you don't. It's like the Mustang. I see the guys in the damn Mustang forum, and it's like they're all flexing and strutting, and they're all so, you know, oh, this and that. It's like, dude, you got a Ford. Stay in your lane, as Cameron likes to say. Like, yeah, it's a nice car. I love my Mustang. It's fast, but it's just a cheap, fast car. That's why they're so popular. Is because it's hard to get that kind of, you want 460 horsepower in a V8, high revving, fast shifting, rear wheel drive sports car that handles properly. You know, depending on how you want it configured, anywhere from $41,000 to $58,000, depending if you start off with just a basic GT manual, or if you want what I've got, which is the 10-speed with the $7,500 performance pack on top. You know, then you're in low, you know, 50-ish, 51, 52, 53, depending on your options, plus taxes and stuff. You know, that's a lot of performance for the money, but it's not special. Everybody has one. I go to the store and I pass 6 Mustangs. It's like, hey, there's a white one tailgating me. Oh, wait, that's mine. That's my wife. So, you know, it's like, it doesn't make me feel special for owning a Mustang. You know, I've had a Maserati, I've had a Porsche, an Alfa Romeo. Some of them may not actually, I mean, the Porsche would be, but you know what I mean? Like, on paper and, you know, as far as actual performance in the price range and reliability and ease of parts and all that stuff, dealer networks, you know, the Ford might be the better car, but I don't feel special for owning a Ford. So I'm not sitting there flexing on people like, oh, your EcoBoost sucks because I got the G. Whatever, I don't give a shit. I bought a car because I wanted something fun that was relatively cheap and I could get serviced anywhere. So, it was a Ford. I actually went for the Chevy first. I wanted a Camaro 2 SS with the black carbon stripe and that metallic, that big flake metallic orange, the Hot Wheels color. And someone literally put a deposit on it 10 minutes before I got there. And it was the last one in the area. And no one knew when they were getting any more during COVID. So I was like, all right. I Guess we're going with a Mustang. And as much as I like it, I don't feel special. It's common. It's literally the most common sports car in the world. More people have that sports car that I have than any other sports car. So it's not like I'm in some exclusive club when you have the most common and pedestrian car in its category. And that's where that's why I decided to keep this. I'm like, you know what? This bike itself is pretty cool to begin with, even bone stock. But with this thing all macked out and hot rodded, but done in a kind of stealthy way where it's not in your face. I mean, you fire it up, you're like, that doesn't sound like a normal speed twin. If you start looking close, you're like, is that a damper? Then you're like, that black and silver kind of nondescript looking shock does say Ohlins on it. You know, you start looking at it closely, and if you know what to look for, you're like, this is a bit of a sleeper. Someone's done some work, and they've done it in a way not to get attention. And I think that's the difference. My mods, yeah, it's nice to have something that looks nice. But if I'm doing mods, it's like, I want them to translate to something. Like, I'm not going to change the hood on my car so it looks more tough. That's stupid. I'm going to put a big wing on the back. Does it make the car faster or stick better? No, it's just for look. Well, then I don't want. You know what I mean? Oh, you got to bag it and put air suspension. Why? Is it going to handle better? No, it might actually handle worse. Oh, I don't want that. Yeah, but it looks cool when it's parked because you can drop it to the ground. I don't care if it looks cool when it's parked. I care how it drives. It's like, did you buy this thing to sit there looking at it, or do you just buy this thing to go ride it? Something like this is good because it looks cool while still being cool, even if it is a little dirty. He did drive it in the, I think he rode it in the rain the other day. As I look around, I'm seeing water spots and dirt. and pollen. We started having everything turning green and getting pollen on the cars in February. Yay, global warming. Love it. So, anyway, we're going to take this home. We're going to swap out batteries, and I'm going to jump on the MT10 and we're going to go play a little bit. But I'm really glad I got this fixed. Triumph hooked me up, man. Brian hooked me up. I mean, that motor was kind of blowed up. And the entire top end of the motor was replaced. And we would have gone down, he went into the bottom and he's like, there's nothing. He's like, if I saw anything, if I saw one metal flake, he's like, if I saw one metal flake down there, I was going to pull that motor completely apart to crack the case. And we were going to start going through, you know, maybe replacing the case of the bearings or, you know, whatever down there. But he's like, there was nothing. So he's like, pick up where you left off, ride it like you stole it. I did take off the quick shifter, and I did make sure that the rev limiter was set to the factory. I don't want any chances of over revving it because these motors are a little more susceptible to valve floating, just their design. So there is a chance, we've gone back and forth on this a lot, that between the, not the tune as far as the leanness and all that, but if the rev limiter was raised a little bit and the quick shifter and there were some misshifts that may have bounced it off that high, you know, there's a chance that it could have done that. When I was going down the road though, I wasn't over revving it, I wasn't shifting, I was just going wide open, and I was only around 7,000. So we don't think that that was the case, but it could do that. So we're like, you know, let's not take any chances. Quick shifter off. Make sure, went into the map, make sure rev limit is exactly where it's is stock out of the box. Our tune and fuel is there, but that's fine. We richened up the fuel. We didn't lean it out. And our ignition advance is right where it's supposed to be. So we're making well over 100 horsepower at the wheel. It's running happy. He's like, it purrs like a kitten. He's like, you guys did a good job on this. And he's like, now that I've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, just get on it and go ride the piss out of it. You'll be fine. So, with his seal of approval and looking at what I've really done and invested in this bike, we're going to keep the content coming. Going to keep it. Keep all three bikes. If one goes, it'll be the Cowie. I could always get another one of those later. or something different, you know. Part of me, I got, as much as I love the ZX14, part of me says I probably should have gotten the Busa because, you know, similar power. I mean, the Kawai's a little more powerful, but it doesn't really matter on the street. But, you know, the Suzuki has the ride modes. It's got the IMU, it's got cruise control, it's got quick shift with auto blip. It's like, that would have been nice to have. The Kawai lags behind when it comes to all their technology goes to the ZX10, the Ninja 1000 maybe. The ZX6R and the Z900 and the ZX14 don't get dick. They get basic ABS and traction control from like 3 generations ago, and no quick shift because it doesn't have ride by wire. It doesn't have quick shift up, and it can't have auto blip because it doesn't. You need ride by wire for that. Anyway, enough rambling. You got to hear the motor. You got to see that the bike rides again. Maybe I'll edit this down a bit, but we'll see y'all later. Stay tuned for an MT10 break-in video and a beautiful sunny day.